This is Terrence Cal with MTAC Roofing Systems doing a roof inspection for Hung. The first thing I'm looking for is basically the overall condition of the shingle. Now, as you can tell, the shingle is super brittle. Looks to be right around 20 to 22 years old, if I had to guess. It's a 3-tab shingle, which is considered a composition shingle. And one of the things that I'm looking at is you can tell that you're starting to see asphalt and the fiber that makes up the shingle. So one thing that I've looked for is wind damage, and as you can tell, I've got some shingles marked up here. Now, I haven't marked everything up, but I've marked up the ones that are obvious, just like that right there. And you got a lot over here, whereas on that side of the roof, you've got a lot of debris. So I really didn't mark up anything on that side just because it's covered up. I don't want to slide down this shingle because if I start stepping all over that pine straw, it's pretty evident that it will happen. But you can tell. A lot of these I didn't mark up, stuff like that. You can see the crease, and there's probably several more that I didn't mark up, like stuff like that. That may be a damaged shingle right there. But on this front slope, I've got about 25 marked up. Like I said, you're starting to see a bunch of fiberglass, so it's telltale signs it's probably at the end of its life expectancy. But like I said, tons of wind damage on the front slope. You got some over here as well, and if I blew this off, you might find quite a few more. As far as the components go, I've checked all the components just to make sure they are good. And one thing that I'm noticing is a lot of cracking going on here, and these are called pipe boots. Now, this is your plumbing pipe right here, and basically this is the flashing that flashes around the plumbing pipe. And nowadays what they have is a UV collar, and you can tell that they've put a lot of sealant around here because eventually what happens is this gasket right here starts to dry rot. After time, water can get directly down that pipe, lead to bigger problems such as water intrusion. However, you've got exposed nail heads, and these do not look like they were ever sealed up. And your HVAC pipe here is actually starting to rust. Now, it looks like we've caught it at the right time because it's not fully rusted. There's no holes in this component, so it can still be painted and reserved. But you can tell a lot of times what happens is this starts rusting, the water drips off, and you start seeing rust lines on the roof. We've got 3 pipe boots total up here. They're all in the same condition. They don't look to be a problem right now, but like I said, they're cracking, the gasket's cracking, and exposed nail heads. You've got 2 turbine vents, same thing going on. No rust on these, just very lightly rusted on the edges, and then exposed nail heads. And then as far as the satellite dish doesn't seem to be a problem. One thing I would suggest is it's not sealed up. So if this is not active, I definitely suggest taking it up. It's just one less thing up here that could cause problems. And then I'll go over the power mast here. So nowadays they got what they call a zipper pipe boot, which is a zipper flashing, and this looks to be okay other than the exposed nail heads like I've pointed out, and then of course a lot of debris. Now, I have looked at the gutters. The gutters are backed up, and one thing that I'm noticing is they're super rusted, right? So I haven't looked at the back gutter here, but I can tell that there's nails backing out all across this back gutter. And on the front gutter, I'll say the front gutter has holes all in the bottom of it. So I would suggest having those replaced along with the downspouts. If we went with new gutters, of course, we'd take off the 5, put back a 6, and then, of course, upsize the downspouts with that and put the proper elbows. The last thing I'll go over is the flashing. Flashing seems to be okay. Now, one thing I will say is they've sealed it. Generally, when you see sealant around flashing means that something was going on. So the only way we can really tell is once these shingles are tore off, we'll be able to see exactly what's underneath there and how they truly flashed it. And I'll say this, is this wood right here is getting kind of brittle. You can see it's chipping, the paint's starting to come off, and that right there is very close to becoming rot. So I would suggest that if we do the roof, that you do look into getting this re-sided here. The corner boards seem to be good, and then of course the chimney cap looks to be rusted. Seems to be okay at the moment, but I would suggest having this repainted by a professional painter, or I would suggest having it replaced but at the moment looks to be okay. The last thing I'll go over is on the back slope. So this back slope is covered by trees. It doesn't see a whole lot of wind. Now you can see there is some stuff up here that looks to be wind damage. Stuff like that right there. But I have marked up a couple. And these don't seem to be like they were blown up and almost blown off. This one did. But I'm sure if I looked over this roof and spent time up here, I'd probably find a lot more. And also it seems to be that hail hit this area as well. So you can see hits all over it. And if I mark up the soft metal, you didn't have a whole lot of soft metal up here to mark up. But if I mark this up, you'd probably see a couple smaller dings. This isn't quite soft metal here. You see some smaller dings. This isn't quite soft metal. This is a little more firm. So if it wasn't big hail, probably wouldn't have done a whole lot of impact. Sometimes if you mark up the chimney caps, you'll find some, but like I said, this is firm metal as well. We'll mark this top of this chimney cap up. You'll see some small, and this piece of chalk is a little wet, so that's why it's doing that. But what I'm seeing is some smaller hits up here from hail. And to be honest with you, this front slope is a little too brittle to even see if there was hail. But if I had to guess, I mean, if hail hit this area, it definitely damaged the shingle just because it is so brittle. But yeah, looking over the rear slope, definitely seems to be like there was some hail that hit the area, damaged shingle. Like I said, I haven't marked everything up, but the damage is up here and it's a super old shingle. So Hong, I'll get down, send this video over and we'll go from there.